after almost a week long of brutal protests in France, French Prime Minister has said that the government's priority is to restore Republican order in the country. Riots in France appear to be calming now. This after 7 days of violent protests in response to the shooting of a teenager by the French police at a traffic stop. President Emmanuel Macron has now asked the Interior Ministry to keep a massive police presence on street because even though it looks like the protests are thinning, they could be revived anytime. Almost 100 people held a rally in support of Vincent Jeanbrun, the mayor whose home was attacked by rioters who fired rockets at his fleeing wife and children overnight. They broke her leg and injured one of her children as well. The incident is being treated as attempted murder now. Meanwhile, the grandmother of the victim has called for an end to the violence. She said that the mob should not damage schools and burn buses. Thousands have been injured and detained in the protests so far in this last 1 week. Security forces have been deployed with more than 45,000 police personnel across the country of France.
The mood was somber but defiant at a gathering in the French town of Laï-la-Rose, one of many outside town halls across the country. This rally was in solidarity with the town's mayor, whose home was attacked over the weekend by rioters enraged by the police shooting of a teenager of North African descent.
Nous avons vu le vrai visage des émeutiers.
The mayor himself, Vincent Jeanbrun, said rioters rammed a vehicle into his home Saturday evening while his wife and children were asleep inside and set it alight. This woman who works in Laï-la-Rose said she found the violence inexplicable in what she thought was an extremely calm town with very civic people. This man said the death of Nahil, the teen shot by police, was inexcusable, but he didn't see the connection with attacking the mayor and said there was a general feeling of disproportion with what happened. Tension appears to have ebbed across the nation with fewer arrests on Monday compared to previous days of riots that were triggered by the fatal police shooting of Nahil M last week. The incident tapped into a deep vein of resentment towards police and what some Muslim communities of North African descent say is a long history of racial profiling, and sparked days of riots that left behind torched cars and looted stores and properties owned by the state. However, rather than focus on race, far-left and far-right lawmakers on Monday blamed failures in government policies for the riots. Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne acknowledged some soul-searching should happen for the administration, but that will only come after order is restored.
The crisis brings up numerous questions, and the different parliamentary group presidents had the opportunity to speak about these topics. But I think we'll have the opportunity to meet again, to pursue and to go deeper in these conversations. In any case, today our priority is to ensure the return of Republican order with the kind of order maintained tonight and with a strong criminal response.
French President Emmanuel Macron has postponed a state visit to Germany to deal with the crisis. He's set to speak to more than 220 mayors on Tuesday of towns and cities that were affected by the riots.
The crisis brings up numerous questions, and the different parliamentary group presidents had the opportunity to speak about these topics. But I think we'll have the opportunity to meet again, to pursue and to go deeper in these conversations. In any case, today our priority is to ensure the return of Republican order with the kind of order maintained tonight and with a strong criminal response.
Sanjay Suri, my colleague, joining us live, getting us more details of what exactly is transpiring there on ground, not just in Paris, but several other French cities that have been on the boil over the last couple of days. And it looks like now there is an uneasy calm, Sanjay, as far as most of these cities are concerned. The violence and these violent protests seem to be waning, but many would say that this is a ticking time bomb.
Well, most certainly a ticking time bomb, and of course we do have to note that the violence is waning. It's not necessarily disappeared. There have been a number of cases of buildings being attacked and cars being burnt even overnight last night. And if you look at it as an absolute, that is quite shocking. But of course, looking at it relative to what happened and what preceded this, it certainly is a situation that is now calming down so far as street violence goes. But a lot of knock-on effects are already visible. For a start, the damage done, a huge extent of infrastructural damage done to buildings, to public offices, to public transportation, people's private transportation. This is going to come to many, many millions and perhaps hundreds of millions of euros. Beyond that, we've seen that the bookings in Paris hotels are down 25% already, and this is the start of the tourist season. And so this is going to have a huge knock-on economic effect for France and for Paris particularly. And really in the long term, there is the question what France will do with this festering anger that really seems to be quite widely prevalent among the youth, particularly of families of immigrant origin. And there is a strong feeling of deprivation and of being disadvantaged. And really that is the ticking time bomb that you were talking about. And that is the one that the authorities will have to look to defuse in days and weeks to come.
Now, Sanjay, two very different issues, but a similar pattern of violence that was witnessed in France, in Paris. One a couple of months ago when we saw these kind of protests over the pension reform, and now this. Politically, what would this mean for Emmanuel Macron?
Well, in a limited sense, he is not too bothered because he is not seeking re-election, and that is the first thing in the minds of every political leader. But really, he has a country to run for the next few years, and he will want to do this in a progressive and in a stable manner. And the fact is that disaffection with the government does not remain confined to expressions of it in usual ways. People don't give speeches, they don't write letters, they don't sign petitions. They come out in the streets, they get violent, and this is something that has rocked France repeatedly over a long period, and this now is certainly going to be a sign of some alarm for the government, how it handles these issues, how it tries to defuse a crisis such as this.